So, how do we make this thing? So now that we have the general track, now this is the competitive track. I'm going to show you something else here in a minute, but we have the competitive track. Let's start adding in a little bit of detail here so we can kind of see what we're going to have left over for fun props, for props that we can use for however the heck we want to use it. So lime green, since it doesn't have any yellow, is what we use for our little, like, mock mountains, Minecraft mountains. There you go. That. Back over to world heading and straighten it out a little bit. Bam, like that. We're just going to be very savvy on saving things, although I'm going to kind of eat up a little bit of this block over here. I'm going to hide it on that left side of the mountain there, just like that. You don't have to. Again, it's just your preference on how you want to build it. Little things like that, though, are style points in my book. You know what I mean? Like, you're getting more out of your creation. You're offering more to the... I hate when the game does this. Okay, so we're pretty well boxed in now. We got that feeling that we're at a black sheep track here. And now you've seen how we did it. But I have plenty of props. So what I like to do here more recently in some of these Pro Line tracks, you've seen it on round 1 on PS4 here, I like to go over to the black. I like to make like a secondary asphalt track out here. Something that you can kind of have some fun on and drift out a secondary track. So let's do that. Let's make a little bit thinner of a track. Let's use our 2 wides. Alright, I don't like how that's glitching out there, so we're going to relay that one. You see now it was all flashy. It will be like that in the game, too. It doesn't like sometimes when you overlap them. When you overlap them and you see that glitchy little movement thing when you move the camera, just replace the prop. So right here you can see that I'm actually turning my track away from the direction we want to go, which means I'm going to be eating up a lot more props. Now the only reason I'm doing that is because if you look at the props, I'm only at 65 out of 150. I haven't even used half of them yet. My actual competitive track is completed, and I'm just trying to add in a little bit of fun. Now usually high detail takes about 50 props. So if you can get under 100 props laid and you feel completely comfortable with you need nothing laid out more for your track, you can have quite a decorative track when it comes down to detail and making things look nice. Like I said, open gates and... I'm messing up on this. I'm going to delete that one. We're going to whip this thing around really quick right here. Lay in that last one here. It's another fundamental one. If you have to go a little lower than your track, go a little lower. You don't want it overlapping into that to make it look like crap. Okay, guys. So, where are your judges going to be? Where are they going to be able to get to? First off, can they climb the mountain? All this weird stuff that you have to keep in account for your judging booth. Now, a judging booth is fundamental. It is mandatory to have. You can't really judge without a damn judging booth. This one looks like it's going to be difficult to build one on, too. I like to leave a little ledge up there on the top, like you see there, so then if you, like, accidentally walk and you don't miss it. So basically your judges are going to be kind of standing up here. They're going to watch the first one, watch the second one. This is not a good place for a judging booth. Who am I kidding? I need to delete this. This is a terrible spot for a judging booth. This is probably the toughest thing that I have built a judging booth on, is this little track. Okay, so we want to flatten it out. We're just going to go straight to this. Raise it up like that. Okay, now we need to go back to the pitch. We need to pitch this thing up like this. Make sure it's straight. Now this is your front, so I'm going to go to advanced options. I'm going to go to that Z axis, raise it. Oh, no I'm not. So, okay, like I was explaining earlier with the world versus the local, this is because we're on local. So if I go to world, it doesn't matter, it's always up and down. No matter where the prop is on the world, it's still always going to be up and down. So the bottom's going to limit us to how high we go here. We don't want to build too high of a ledge so we can't see over it either. That is looking good right there. So these are going to be our sides, which means we got to go back to advanced options. We're going to have to drop it down a little bit. Now you're going to have to figure out, do you want it roofed? We're going to roof this thing. So we're going to throw this up here, bring it up front a little bit more. Again, if you don't like it moving in that crooked direction, you can change the world to local up there in that alignment. Oh, actually the best thing to do here is to go like this. And lay that roof down Lay that roof down so then when you lay that other side, it's not out of proportion, essentially. I'm going to do a little overhang over here just so I can make sure that people can get into this thing. It's pretty steep there. So we got this little overhang here. Looking pretty nice. Well, looks like it all matches up. So now we're going to go back over to here. Advanced options. We're going to throw this. Oops. I think it's this one we're pitching. Yeah, that looks right. World heading to straighten it out. Now we're going to have to go to advanced options here again. Line it up as well as you can in this so then it's as little of work in here when you're actually locked in. Damn it. Again, got to switch the local to world so we can move up and down no matter what. And then I'm going to switch it to local again so we don't have to move at a weird angle. Bam. Alright, so that's actually going to work pretty well. We'll be able to see it all. Be able to see this entrance. We'll be able to see him hit the outside. So, this is probably the biggest decoration that you're going to have is foliage and fencing. So let's lay our fences down first. Those are in your barriers, so I'll go backwards on it. I lay pretty much one fence all the time. Those tires, there's signs, there's all kinds of stuff that you're going to get to choose what you want to lay down on your track to make it your style and kind of give that flavor to your track, if you will. As you guys have probably seen on numerous of my tracks, you will see these fences. Pick a proper width, which looks like that is a pretty proper width. And we're going to lower it on down with the Z-axis. There we go. Now we got our area to pull on to. Let's go a little bit further and go with a couple of our dynamics. A cone here and a cone here. Alright, next for detail is going to be foliage. And this is probably one of the things that I'm not the keenest of releasing because all of a sudden everybody's going to be making their stuff look like mine. But ultimately, whatever. I always lower these down. I turn these trees into big, giant bushes, foliage like this. And that's how I make my really thick-looking tracks. Yeah, there's not a lot to it. You just lower it down with the Z-axis. I'm sure a lot of you guys, after just seeing what I do, have figured that out. But there's some of you guys that have not figured that out. Like I said, I'm not the keenest on releasing that, but it's what it is. You start learning how to do this, you'll figure this out on your own. So you can see with just a few trees how we're really starting to liven everything up now. They're still missing some things here, though. We don't want to go too crazy with these decorations here yet because I can see that we're going to need a couple things. So we're going to go back over to those blocks. We're going to find something about the length of what we're going to need here, which is going to be a 5er, it looks like. And I'm going to put in a little wall right here. So we're going to make a white wall since it's pretty much the biggest in contrast here. Got to go over back to my world heading so I can straighten this out a bit better. And we're going to go just like this. The only reason I put this up isn't really it's not really for looks. It's for when people come flying around this one and they would overshoot into the oncoming traffic, they're going to run into a wall. They're only going to ruin it for themselves. They're not going to ruin it for you as well. So this is that. Now, we're missing our one crucial fundamental, and that is our clipping points. Alright, so clipping points. That's the one other thing we're missing in here. We do want to definitely designate that. Let's see how many we have. So, clipping points, I use these little blocks. And now, let me say this, guys. I use my own way. Unique. My way. Okay? Nobody else has used this way in creations on tracks. And I do feel very, very comfortable with saying that, okay? I did not copy anybody. I did not say, hey, that's a great idea, I'm going to take that. Like, this was all my idea for recognition on it. Other people use rumble strips on the tracks. Other people use signs and designations. I use these as my clipping points. You will be able to see which section you need to hit. It adds a little bit more width to the track. And that's how I do. Now, this is strictly Proline series, so like I said, I know if you start building yours with these clipping points that you are biting on the black sheep. And we got this guy here. Now, because one would cover it just fine, but you still want it to look like the clipping point, I put in 2 here on these insiders. It looks much more professional when it all comes out. Here's the deal. They're all white, right? All those dang clipping points. That's probably the most jagged looking one right there. Whatever. We're going to keep it. It's not that big of a deal. So turn your prop stacking off, and then you can come over with your bumper, or R1, R2, and you can change the color. So we're going to go with we'll go with blue, I suppose. We'll do a blue and white. That's how we do it. Now, I don't like that the blue one overlaps and leaves that weird look, so I'm going to actually delete that. Be careful when you delete these things, guys. At this point in time, you could be deleting something very fundamental like your base, that green base, and that is not what you want to delete. Because at this point in time, it may not let you relay it. It'll tell you there's too many props overlapping it. And it's not lying to you. All this crap is overlapping. It's like it's sitting on top of that prop. And the game really... I don't know. They mean for you to do this, but I don't know if they really mean for you to do this. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is.